Good evening, YouTube population.
What's happening with you crazy bitches?
Welcome to another episode of Comic and Other Cons. Happy Thursday.
And today we'll call it Throwback Thursday.
Fact.
Because we decided to go back into something that we saw a while ago that we really liked, and it was really good. And it's, shall we, kid?
We shall.
Shall we show them? Psycho Beach Party. I'm sorry for anybody who hasn't seen it. And if you haven't seen it, get your rusty ass up and go see it. Okay? You're going to have to rent it or buy it, or it's fuck a rent. This is worth a buy. Okay? Right. This is a buy movie. Okay?
Seriously.
In B-Y. B-U-Y. You know, I know there's a lot of B-I and all that. This is definitely one that you'll put back on and you'll laugh at it every time. Every fucking time. So here's my overall synopsis of what's going on. It was released in 2001, so it's got a little seasoning on it. 16-year-old Florence Chiclet. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was at Chick-fil-A. Sorry, I had that for lunch. I got caught up in the moment. Florence Chiclet Forrest is a nerdy, pubescent tomboy looking to fit in with the cool kids. She's goofy, clumsy, and at times anxious to find her place. Turns out, Chiclet has a secret, a dark secret that even she is not aware of. Kid?
My opening remark about this is going to be that so many of the stars that are in this movie are stars that you've seen in movies in the last maybe like 5 or 10 years, give or take, or TV shows. And if you
even farther back than that.
Well, I'm thinking of the millennials that are probably going to watch this show, like our YouTube show, that may not remember that far back.
I hope some old niggas, hope some old people watch it too.
All right, well, there's that. So I would say that they've been on, modern television or movies in the last like 5 or 10 years. And if you saw them in the roles that they've been in now, the roles that they've either won Emmys for, been nominated for an Oscar, etc., you would not have really ever guessed that they would be in a movie like this. But it is so funny. And it's one of those things where I kind of feel like it's almost like the equivalent of people who are in like Scary Movie before they made too many of them and it wasn't funny anymore. But it's almost like they starred in that and then you remembered them from that, but you wouldn't have expected because now they've won an Oscar for some drama that they were in, 2 years ago. It's kind of like that. It's also kind of like that moment when you realize that Leonardo DiCaprio finally won the Oscar, but he was also in Django Unchained. It's like that.
Okay.
So
shall we?
Let's just dive right into this movie. That's my dad.
And that's my kid. And we are
Comic and Other Cons. All right, Pop.
Let's take care of business first.
Oh, that's right. Don't forget, this is the YouTube channel for us. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the little buttons at the bottom.
That notification. Tell your friends.
Feel free to leave comments. We actually had someone leave a comment on one of our other videos that talked about what they wanted us to kind of review next. So, we're going to try to do some research and see, if that's something that we're able to add. But please feel free, put shows or movies that you all are interested in that you'd like us to do like a review on. We're more than happy to, look into it and see if it's within our repertoire.
And, we're going to review it, not like Siskel and Ebert. We're going to review it like you and your friends would be talking some shit about something that you saw and you'd be laughing, having good moments, cracking up about shit. Because that's the nature of people, you don't usually sit down and break shit apart, dissect it. You usually just start laughing at the shit that stood out and pissed off at what sucked or whatever. And that's how we do. Remember, you're a bunch of peeping toms, and you see it. Me and my kid have a conversation about a movie or TV show that we have watched. And just so that you know, we do know you motherfuckers there. So you wasn't quite that slick, okay? There's always something to turn the light on that other side of that two-way mirror. You know, so it's always one, always.
All right, Pop, go ahead, take it away.
But look, I got like 10,000 pages. You see all this shit? All this fucking notes. I got like pages and pages of notes about this movie, and I don't even know where to start.
I have so many text messages of things that he found out from last night when he was watching it again. He's like, this, and I was like, yeah, okay.
Let's just get into the movie. One of the things I will say about the movie overall is that it is a campy dark comedy at times that takes on movies from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and all genres of the old Annette Funicello and you know, and old Frankie Avalon. Oh, Frankie. And it take on those kind of movies. They take on the old horror kind of movies, the old slasher movies. They take on all of that stuff, and they are also inclusive, directly or indirectly, with a lot of overtones for LGBTQ people in different scenarios. So it's very inclusive, except for us. There's nobody that looks like us in there. Although one of us
is in
there. A surprise appearance a couple times.
One of us is in there,
one of us,
but we're not in there.
And that was the highlight of the goddamn movie when we saw it. I think I was talking to my kid on the phone. You know, it hadn't kicked in like the first time that we saw it years ago. But you know, as we got older, we watched it again, and we were just watching it last night, talking on the phone, right? Because we said, "Hey, we got to do this movie. We loved it so much." And when it happened, you could almost see us looking at each other like, "That's what?" So it was so good. It's so funny. That's the one thing I'll tell you. Despite the fact of the movie cover that you see, right? It really does. It looks like what if you were, you know, perusing through movies and you saw this, it might look like, that looks like it's some, you know, some movie for like white folks or, you know, whatever. It is not. Who's it for, kid?
Folks.
It's just for folks. It's fucking funny. Don't judge this book by the cover, okay?
Absolutely.
Everybody's gonna laugh at this shit. And God help you if you get drunk or you don't smoke some shit and you toked up and you're watching this movie, okay? Because you're not going to work tomorrow. You're gonna call in. You're not gonna make it. But it delivers that message, and as I said, on all those levels about all those things, and it does it very good. The facial expressions of, well, I want to talk about the star right quick, Lauren Ambrose. Mm-hmm. Now, I made a couple of little notes, you know, in this little chicken scratch. It's a shame when you can't read your own handwriting because you usually type in shit or do it right. So you don't remember how fucked up your handwriting is until you write it. And then you're trying to look down at it and is somebody going, motherfucker, the camera rolling. And you're trying to read your shit, right? But Lauren Ambrose, as some of you may aware who have Apple TV, she plays in, she's one of the stars in the Apple TV series called The Servant. That's a whole nother bag of shit right there. We'll talk about that at some other point, because that's a fucking Ron Weasley. But
you just letting it rip now, huh?
Well, smell that. I'm letting it rip.
Her character, by the way, on The Servant's name is Dorothy Turner. Just for those of you who watch that show.
Yes. Oh, it's so good. And what's good about having seen that show and not having seen this is that you get to see Lauren Ambrose 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, She was a lot young, obviously younger. She was a lot thinner. She looked a lot different. You know? One of the things that she still does is she has very good facial expression, very good acting. When she's making these faces in the movie, it's funny as shit, man. Yes. You know, she's really goofy, but still cool. I mean, she can speak with just her face. And I appreciate that. As they would have said in old Hollywood, she gives good face in the movies with her expression. Kid, I've been hogging up the light. Let me hear some of it. With your luscious ass hair. Go on. You don't kiss myself. Go ahead, touch it. You like this. Do that. Come on, milk the cow. Milk the cow. Right. Milk the cow. There you go. Right. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Anyway.
That unpasteurized.
So one of the things that stood out for me, on top of the fact that, you know, what my dad said in terms of like LGBT, because it addresses that at a time where, even though this came out in 2001, the LGBTQ population was not in the same place in 2001 as it is right now, 20 years later. But Amy Adams was in this movie, and I totally forgot she was in this movie because she wasn't.
I forgot to. I when I saw it, I was like, oh shit, that's right. Yeah. She's it. I forgot all about it.
I totally forgot she was in this movie because she wasn't as big a star as she is now. Like, I can tell you some of the most, you know, more modern things that I've seen her in, but I forgot that she was in this until we rewatched it. And I was like, oh shit, that's right. So, I mean, between her and then Thomas Gibson, which many of you may know, I know that the first time I ever saw him was on Dharma and Greg. And that show is hilarious.
Dharma.
But he's now, you know, he's been on a CBS TV show that he was on for, you know, for several years. And he's a very good actor as well. The other thing that people may know him from is Criminal Minds. That's probably his more modern thing. And that show actually just ended last year. So that's the thing that he's been on most recently. But Dharma and Greg was kind of one of his first things he was on. And that's where, you know, we first saw him. So to then see him in this TV show, and I think one of the things that he portrayed, the character, was that he was that kid who graduates high school, but then like still hangs out in the parking lot. Because all of these kids that he was hanging out with were in high school, but like he's like the cool adult that lives on the beach. And, you know, by any standards today, it would be fucking weird that you are like a grown man living in a shack on a beach hanging out with high schoolers. But in this movie, he is that person that like hangs out with the high schoolers because he's like the cool person. And I almost kind of feel like he was cool in high school and is trying to hold on to that because he's not a cool adult. Or he wasn't cool when he was in high school, but now that he's the adult and he like lives independently, now he's cool to these other high schoolers. And so he's like latching on to that attention. That was the social work moment I just had. I don't know which it is, but either way, I need him to move the fuck off the beach.
And he's not even as cool as Fonzie was in the looks, right? But yet he still has the stature of the Fonzie. I mean, you look like anybody can just whoop his ass and take Shaq, right? But yet everybody has respect for him. They all love him.
Right. He surfs in jeans.
It makes no sense. Yeah, I know. It makes no sense. And right quick for Amy Adams, because I want to try to give everybody a shout that I can remember. Remember her from Man of Steel, as well as Arrival. So.
Another person that I personally like as an actress, and I think she's really funny, is Kathleen Robertson. And the reason I mentioned her, and I also mentioned a movie that she's been in before, is she was in Scary Movie 2. She was the one that was portrayed as like the very slutty one who had sex with a ghost. So
who does she play in this movie?
In this movie, in Psycho Beach Party, she is trying to remember, Rhonda. Her character is Rhonda. So she is I can't remember it now. It's it's weird. I just had it. But her character on the show is Rhonda, and she is one of the high schoolers. But she's not with Chicklet or Bernadette or Amy Adams's character. I thought at first that she was the detective, but the detective was older, and so she was too young at the time. But she plays in Scary Movie 2, and that's where I first saw her. Outside of this movie, that's where she had like a bigger role where she was kind of more known.
But you kept saying she, and the detective is, we'll talk about that later.
No, not the first cop, the detective that's with her. She introduces herself as Detective so-and-so.
Of the cop.
Yes, but
the one in the police uniform.
Yeah, but she introduces herself to Chicklet and Bernadine as Detective so-and-so with that.
Yeah.
So they're both, I always thought it was weird that they were both considered detectives, but they were in like police uniforms, because most of the time detectives are in plain clothes, but whatever, they're allowed to wear either or.
We just went with it.
Right. So she was in this, and again, like I said, she's a very funny actress, and so she was in Scary Movie 2, and that was the first place that I saw her that I can really remember.
Now I'm remembering it. Now from Scary Movie. Now, okay.
Mm-hmm.
It kicked in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I wanted to make sure I gave a shout out to her because she's a very funny actress. And I think sometimes people think like you can't be pretty and funny somehow. And I think like Tina Fey and Amy Poehler even talk about this, like when they were hosting some awards show, and they've mentioned it on SNL, where like sometimes it's hard for people to like genuinely think you're funny if you're like also really gorgeous, because they just assume you're, some sort of model or what have you.
Sarah Silverman.
Right. But that you're like not funny at all because you're pretty. And it's like, no, pretty bitches are funny.
Well, I think the other part of that, to continue just to what you said, is I think even to this day, it is another thing that women have to deal with, is that women are not thought of as funny or as comedians. And it's no, comedians are men when you talk about comedians. And in fact, they make that hard distinction when, say comedian is when they're talking about a woman, they say comedian, as opposed to comedian, it's the same shit, right? So yes, women are funny, and some of them are really fucking funny, man.
Right, Kate McKinnon.
Oh Jesus Christ! So we're gonna do a Mighty B later. We don't want to fuck with that right now. That's just we don't have that much time. Like we're on the clock right now. So.
We are. So parts of this movie, and I think we'll just jump into the one like really funny, unexpected part for both of us was.
Hold it, Kate.
Okay.
Let me bring up one more that's important since we're talking about LGBT and all this other stuff.
Okay.
The actor Charles Bush. Charles Bush plays Captain Monica Stark. Charles Bush, I'm going to read what I wrote down.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Bush wrote the script and the screenplay for this movie. He's well-known cross-dresser, actor as cross-dresser, and a stage actor. The movie that we're talking about is based on a play that he wrote, in which he starred and he cross-dressed and starred as Chicklet.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just incredible that he did that back in 1987, and then in 2001 he came out and wrote this and did the screenplay for it. And he does in fact cross-dress and play another character in this movie. So he kept with that theme. So I just had to make sure that he got props, because without him there wouldn't have been any of this movie. And it's just fucking genius. So I want to make sure we gave old Chuck some love. So please
and for
continue.
those of you who like the Addams Family, he was in the 1993 Addams Family movie, Addams Family Values, and he was the Countess cousin of Phasia.
Oh, there you go.
So lots of screen time for him. He's also on Oz, for those of you who like Oz.
Yes.
A big show. So he was in Oz for like 2 seasons.
So go ahead, kid, where you were. I didn't mean to cut you off. I didn't want to forget about Charles.
No worries. So I think the one big thing that we really kind of want to dive into is, so Chicklet's thing is that she has multiple personalities. So the main personality that you see come out more, his name is Anne Bowman. And Anne Bowman is very much like a dominatrix. She's very much in charge. Like, she don't take no shit. And when you get to the end of the movie, which we'll talk about in a little bit, of how these personalities developed, the funniest one, while Anne Bowman was funny, the funniest one for my dad and I recently, from an ironic perspective, was definitely the black chick who she is portraying.
You don't know she's black until you hear her go into the character.
Right.
And then when you hear her go into the character, if you sit in the room with someone, and if you just happen to both be black, or if you happen to be some white people who've either hung around some real hood black people, or if you've seen shit where they're making fun of hood black people, right? Some stereotypical shit, you will get it right away because it is fucking hilarious.
Right. So tell everybody what her name is.
Fucking hell. Tylene Carmichael Caramel.
Carmel, but she says Carmel.
Carmel.
And she worked at the checkout counter at the Safeway.
Yes.
She was there till 4:30, and her supervisor was tripping, and somebody else came out, and then the guy tried to touch her. She was like, "I will cut you. I will cut you."
I mean, you have to hear her say it though. This is why I said Lauren Ambrose is such a good character actor. It's incredible. And I bet you that this is like one of those smaller movies now that Lauren Ambrose is a big time guy, Apple TV show and all that shit. You know how you have the stars? There's always a movie that they did and everybody kind of wants to forget about that. Well, I don't want to bring that up. And it's always something that's incredibly fucking funny. I'm sure if people brought this up to Lauren Ambrose, and if we see Lauren Ambrose, we're bringing that shit up.
If they do The Servant at Comic-Con next year, if they do The Servant at Comic-Con next year, we are absolutely going to go up we're going to ask a question and we're going to be like, "Hi, this question is for Florence Chiclet,
yes,
ma'am."
Yeah. What is Tylene Carmichael Carmel doing right now?
Right. How that bitch is?
Yes, she's funny in all that she does in the movie. Lauren Ambrose Chiclet, she's funny in everything, but when she goes into another character, the first time that she goes into her other character of Anne Bowman. And Anne Bowman is essentially a dominatrix. She's in charge of everything. Everybody bows to her will. She is the queen bee. She's at the top of everything. And everybody has fear and love for Anne Bowman. They do what she says. You know, she's one of those. You can almost see her with one of those long things that you hold cigarette holder in her mouth. In fact, she had one in when she was at the diner. And the lady's like, "Give me that damn thing. You ain't old enough to smoke.
Go away. You're annoying."
Yeah. Yes. So, and she wasn't just talking to the cat. So, but she might have been, I don't know. But yes, it's just nonstop funny. It really is. It never really takes too much of a breather. But when she does Anne Bowman the first time, it's so funny, because of what brings it on.
Right.
You know, go ahead and tell them what brings it on, kid.
So she is triggered by like circles or things that can kind of spin, and it's almost like a hypnosis type of thing.
The vertigo.
So when that happens, that's what trips her into one of these personalities. And usually Anne Bowman is the one that comes out, but sometimes Ty Lee comes out. We don't quite know 100% where Ty Lee came from, because at the end of the movie, they mostly explain Anne Bowman. That was one of her mother's persona.
Yeah. Well, let's save that for like nearer the end.
Okay.
You know,
I mean, we're getting close to the wrap up time, so I just kind of figured, you know.
Well, okay, go ahead.
So basically, at the end of the movie, it's discovered that Anne Bowman was a persona that her mother played when she would sleep with like naval Navy seaman.
Oh, no.
And any man.
Ann Bowman was her mother's actual name, but turned out that she was a hoe, and things happened after her daughter.
No, but I mean, there was a persona that came out of her being like this very sexual, like dominatrix. I'm not saying that wasn't her real name, but the persona of who Ann Bowman was is what her daughter and little brother saw when they walked in on her with like some man that she was getting ready to have intercourse with.
I think that was her friend, because she doesn't have a brother in the movie. I think that was just a friend.
Or maybe maybe he's in an asylum because of all the trauma.
Yeah, well, because mom was a hoe. She really was. Back in the day, she really was. And she had 3 husbands, remember?
She did.
And they all died in different wars. He said, all I have to live off of my widow's pensions.
Right. I mean, they all died in the war.
Yeah. So, and an old girl walked in while mom was about to get loose.
She was.
With a sailor of all things, me being a sailor. I mean, I might have danced with her date, So that's
whole. We're not talking about that.
Yeah, that's another thing. So, also in the movie that we did not mention, let me get his name right. Our man Nicholas Brandon, who played the character Starcat from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you know him as Xander. Poor Xander. Xander is not doing good right now. Based on Xander's mugshot that I saw on CNN, Xander's in some shit.
Let me pull it up.
He on CNN for the wrong reasons. Okay. Yeah, he fell by the wayside on some hard times, and I wish him that he can recover and get it together, but he's fallen on some bad times, unfortunately. The Charles Bush, who is
this is our man. Poor thing. Yeah. Buffy actor Nicholas Brandon arrested in Indiana on drug-related charges.
And just think that the Jacksons wanted to go back to Indiana for what? For some pills, nigga. What? Oh, whoops. Let me get back to Charles Bush right quick.
Full force. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. He plays Captain Monica Stark, who has had an affair a long time ago with the guy from Dharma and Greg. Yes, with the big Kanaka. And he used to be a cop.
And apparently he had a big Kanaka.
Yes. And old girl was riding on said big Kanaka.
And he ran the red light.
Yeah, well, no, she would tell him to run a red light. And he's this ain't for me. I can't be, whatever. And so they had history, and that history is demonstrated throughout the film. Right. They feel some kind of way about each other, and Charles plays the Monica Stark is very well played by Charles. It gets some good lines, and for some reason or another, talks with, I don't know, was that supposed to be like a New England accent?
I think so.
Yeah, it's up there with the way that she talks, it's very, very good. It's very funny. Everybody in this, the wrestling scene where Provolone and Yo-Yo start wrestling, and they're 2 guys who ultimately seem to be bi-curious or something, but then ultimately it comes out that they're gay, and that's fine. But then there was a 3rd guy who he was a freak for anybody.
He was.
Because when he's in the bathroom talking to the movie star, he's like got his junk in his hand like the whole time, like talking to her. But she's talking, and then he's the guy that has he's always watching the two gay guys wrestle, and he's the one that took the oil out and sprayed the oil on them.
Yeah.
And they were
wrestling on the beach.
Yeah. He was down for anything. He was that quiet guy that was just down for anything, no matter what it was, man, woman, moose, yak. He was down for it. He didn't care.
For the record, we don't actually know about the animal part. We were just being facetious. For those of you who work at PETA,
we do. We really do. We really do. But yeah, there's just so much to talk about. It's just so good. let's see, what else is in there? Here's the great line from Tylene Carmichael when she is with her mother. And that's when we realize that her mother knows what's going on with her. So her and her mother talking, and her mother's talking about sex with a man and this and that, and talking about men when they poke you down there. And her mother had polka dots on her outfit and little circles, and Chicklet turned, but she didn't turn to Ann Bowman.
Right.
She turned into Tylene. It said, "Get them ugly old paws off me, bitch." Don't tell me how to handle my man. Flippity floppity, baby. I grease up the cake pan, throw it in the oven, and let the batter rise. And that's how she said it. Right?
Exactly how she said it.
I'm telling you, this bitch was straight out of Compton. That's what I'm telling you.
Hilarious.
She was out of Compton. She's straight out of somewhere in New Jersey, Red Hook in Brooklyn. I mean, it was, you have to see it just for those moments.
Every state that has a hood, that's where she was from.
She was there. She got like the suitcase with all the little stickers on it.
Right. Cincinnati, Detroit.
Yes.
Oakland, Brooklyn, actually any of the 5 boroughs, just everywhere. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it is an incredible movie. I also loved Chicklet's buddy, her nerdy friend, Berdine, you know, because Berdine was nerdy, but Berdine was hot as shit, okay?
Bernadine was the...
No, not Bernadine, Berdine.
Oh, okay.
B-E-R, yeah. I thought it was Bernadine at first, and then everybody kept saying Berdine, you know.
Okay.
So yeah, Berdine was goofy as fuck, but Berdine was hot. You know how you have them nerdy girls with the glasses that look kind of nerdy and goofy, whatnot, but by today's standards or for the trained eye, Berdine was fucking hot. She really was. She was goofy as fuck though, but she was hot. I like Berdine. A lot of people get killed in the movie, by the way.
A lot.
We won't tell you which ones,
right.
But
go watch that for yourself. Find out.
Yes, a lot of people get killed. We love at the beginning and at the end the go-go dancer. That's what we'll say about that. And they do a musical number in the video, like a beach thing. They have a beach, a luau. And at the end, in the extras, they did a whole music video of the entire number. And it's the entire shoot, the sequence that they did for that in the movie. It's just great. What we did learn out at the end, and yeah, you know, this is like the spoiler shit, is that, you know, they thought Chicklet was cured and she was fine. And then the movie actress decides that we're going to make a movie about this whole adventure that has happened. So they made the movie and people were watching the movie in the drive-in. And in the movie, it turns out they were given a shock therapy. And he says, oh, it turns out she just had a dream. So it's 2 people in the car. And 2 people go, what? That's just a dream. Like, that's some bullshit. I can't believe like paid money for that. She just had a dream. And then, Chicklet pops up as Ann Bowman with an actual knife and tells her, no, not quite a dream, and commits to stabbing the shit out of him.
Right.
So she turns out she was a real killer. She was actually a real killer. Even though they pinned it on, you know, somebody in the movie that was doing all the killing, I'm not so sure. I'm sure she did her share of killing, maybe that we didn't know about, but she was a killer. So, and that's how it ends, on one of those things, one of those, you know. Right. But it's, please go see it. Go see it. Fuck me. Go rent it. Go buy it. Don't even look. You can probably find this in Walmart in the bin for like $5 or something like that. It is worth every penny. Worth every penny. It is so funny. It's so funny. We just watched it last night. In fact, in the last 2 days, I've watched this twice.
Samesies.
I've watched it twice. That's how funny it was after we decided we wanted to talk about it. But we want to let you all know that it is worthwhile. It's an hour and a half.
Yep. Best 90 minutes of your life.
The time, and you'll be thanking us for it. It is time well spent. It is a reminder that we usually know about the big pole tent movies, big name movie, the big action movie, the expensive movies. When there's little small movies like this that a lot of people have never heard of, they don't know what you're talking about, that are incredibly well made and are funny as shit, are good at what they do. Just like I've seen good action movies that are like, I'd never heard of them before, small budget little things, but they were great, man. Great action, great stunt work, great fighting. Some movies, good special effects, right? Well, we will bring you not just the stuff of today, but we will bring you other things that we have personally watched, that we can speak to, and we will always bring you our favorites. And so we won't just do things that are being released new. We will be doing plenty of stuff like this. We're gonna get down on some Zach and Miri, make porno, Clerks. We'll get down to all those movies because they're so good, and just I think that they're forgotten, or that a generation just don't know about them. But we do, and we're gonna talk about them bitches.
Yes. So we'll give you some modern stuff and some oldies but goodies.
Yes, because that's what we have. My kid is the modern stuff, and I'm the oldie but goodie. I hope those warrants don't catch up with me, but I'm still oldie but goodie. So, well, kid, what do we want to give Psycho Beach Party?
2 big old thumbs up.
From Comics and Other Cons. It's so funny. Oh, it is so funny. And be careful what that guy has in his mouth when they find him and he's killed. So don't. So, are we ready to close this one out, kid?
We sure are. All right. So it was wonderful to have you guys here joining us. We can't wait for you to see us next week. Make sure that you are liking and subscribing and hitting notification bells.
Leave comments.
Commenting. Follow us on Instagram.
Tell your mother-in-law, we know you don't like that bitch, but turn her on to Comic and Other Cons. She may love you. You won't be scared to eat her food. She's trying to poison you. She don't like you anyway. So yeah, we just two mofos having fun, making it.
So thank you for joining us. That's my dad.
That's my kid. Well, the test hasn't come back yet, but I'm pretty sure that's my kid, and we are
Comic and Other Cons.
Yes, we are. What happened to your thumb just then? It looked like that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's 2 of them. Ass hat. See you next week.